This is an explanation of how to use the magnet words strategy for taking notes and summarizing. The first thing you need is a small passage of reading, and you need to make it small because otherwise you're going to have too much information and won't as efficiently be able to summarize. So I'm going to be using these two paragraphs. So the first thing that you need to do when you are using the magnet word strategy is to read the passage of text. Let me just put down here that this is the process. So I'm going to do that right now. A new fuel. The transportation revolution also increased the use of certain natural resources that had not been important until then. Throughout the early transportation revolution, wood was the primary source of fuel for train and steamboats, as well as for cooking, light, and heat. As faster locomotives were built, new power resources were used to fuel them. Coal replaced wood as the main source of power. A half ton of coal produced as much energy as 2 tons of wood, but at half the cost. Coal also became popular for heating homes. Railroads transported the coal from mines to towns and cities. As the demand for coal increased, a coal mining industry developed in many states, including Pennsylvania, Western Virginia, and Illinois. Coal mining changed the landscape in a number of ways. New towns, such as Coal City and Carbondale in Illinois, sprang up in places where coal deposits could be mined. Miners made deep gashes in the earth, removing the coal. All right, so I finished reading the short passage of text. I'm going to now move on to the next step in the magnet word process, which is to identify the magnet word. And when I'm identifying a magnet word, it is often a good idea to use a section heading when it is available. And I should say that a magnet word isn't always one word. It can be a phrase. In this case, the section heading is a new fuel, so that's obviously a phrase. After I've identified the magnet word or phrase, I'm going to copy it onto my paper or my document, whatever you're using. So I'll just go down a little bit here. And I'm going to type that my magnet word or phrase is a new fuel. If there's no heading, you may just pick what you think is the main topic of the passage. Students have been sharing many different ones, and unless you choose the word like the, you're probably not going to go too wrong. But I think when there is a heading, it's a good idea to use that. Okay. So after you've copied down your magnet word, you want to identify the 4 to 5 words and or phrases that you think are the most important ones having to do with the magnet word or phrase. Now this can be hard because you might worry like, oh, what if this isn't the right word? Or I'm going to miss something. Let me tell you that my experience in seeing students do this so far shows that even when they choose different words, they tend to get it. So don't worry about choosing the quote-unquote right words. So I'm going to go back to my reading, and I'm going to reread it to myself. And I'm going to think, natural resources. And since I'm using my online textbook, I'm going to highlight that. And then I'm going to write it in this Post-it note over here so I can be on a different screen later. If you're reading on an actual piece of paper, it's probably a good idea to underline or highlight. And what else am I going to pick? Oh, so I see that the word coal is repeated like 4 or 5 times in this passage. So I'm going to definitely highlight the word coal. I might highlight the word energy. And I think I'm going to highlight the phrase coal mining industry. Let me put those on my Post-it note. I'm just using the sticky on the computer so I don't have to switch back and forth when I go to my notes document. Okay. So after you have identified your 4 to 5 kind of attracted words, and by attracted we just means that they are words that most have to do with the magnet word or phrase. So the way a magnet attracts things, a magnet word will quote unquote attract other words. So I'm just going to, the 5th step is after you've identified the 4 to 5 words, list these words in your notes. So I'll do that. Separate them so I can see them better. I like to put the little dots next to them. Okay. The last step of the magnet word strategy is to write a summary sentence or 2 or 3, but try and keep it short, that uses all of the attracted words. And there's not one right way to do this. You could use 2 words in one sentence and then 2 words in another. If you're really stuck, just use 1 word in one sentence. Don't get stuck on trying to think like the right way to organize them. Just make sure it makes sense. You might have to read your sentence back to yourself to see if it makes sense. So I'm going to look at my attracted words, which are natural resources, coal, energy, and the coal mining industry. And I'm going to say, during the Industrial Revolution, we started using the natural resource of coal as a source of energy. The coal mining industry became stronger. And notice that I changed natural resources to natural resource. That's fine. You can change parts of speech. You can change the number of something as long as you're not changing the meaning too much. And I'm highlighting my words just to show myself that I've used them. So there's my summary sentence. This is the main idea of the paragraphs that I just wrote. And that is, in a 10-minute explanation, a demonstration of how to use the magnet word strategy to take notes.